Hi guys, how you doing? And welcome to the Motivator Activator. I think I put it the other way around, didn't I, before? So I'm just going to do a little bit of an introduction, and when I do this protocol, I'm going to be doing it like I'm just doing it to one person. Yes? And I want you to give me all the focus you can muster when doing this, because I want it to be successful, and the secret to BWRT is focusing the mind. Now at times I will go very quickly, and I just want you to follow along as much as you possibly can. For those of you that have done BWRT with me before, it's a different type of protocol, and I will be reading it from my phone because I'm still not hugely familiar with it. So this will be a test for me too. Thank you for joining. So this is on a private link, so it's just going out to my lovely clients. So please don't share it because I want it to be right for you. So if anything comes up over the week, then you can jump on a call with me and we can work through it again, and and so on. But a little bit of an introduction to BWRT, brain working recursive therapy, invented by the amazing Terence Watts. The man is a genius. He works with how the brain works naturally. So when the brain comes up against a situation, it pauses, little like a meerkat, pauses. And for those of you, because I know that I'm working with a few people with autism and Asperger's at the moment, you work exactly the same way. It's just that your wait state is longer. So there's a wait state as the brain filters through all your emotions, all your database of memories. And some people have a longer wait state, and some people have a shorter one. And then it will pick something remotely familiar, and it will trigger the program for action, for emotion, for behaviour. So what happens is it really doesn't care whether it's done the right program or not. It's just looking for something to trigger, really. So it's like a massive computer just looking for something vaguely familiar. So this story I always tell is, if loss and grief was an issue in your life, then losing someone you love, or losing your keys, or losing your place in a book, or losing your getting lost with directions could all trigger a neural pathway, the same neural pathway. It doesn't have to be the same, it just has to be familiar enough. Terence's expertise is his expertise focuses around sex and sexual situations, sexual attack, all kinds of things. And so he tells this story that actually demonstrates how the brain works. So a young man came to Terence and said, I cannot sleep with my girlfriend. And Terence had a talk with him, and they worked on a few things, and he went away. And he came back the next week and he said, this doesn't work for me. I still can't sleep with my girlfriend, but I have noticed that she can walk around naked in front of me, but I cannot walk around naked in front of her. And so they worked on that. Maybe he was a bit shy, and he went away, and he came back the next week and he went, this isn't working for me, I'm so sorry, it's just not working. So Terence said that's because we're not working on the right memory, we're not working on the right feeling, and everything is instigated by feeling. These are our messages from our brain and from our souls, messages to tell us what's going on. And he said, when you have this problem, how do you feel? And he said, I feel shock and fear. So Terence said, forget logic. Have you got a very strong memory? It doesn't have to have anything to do with anything. Have you got a really strong memory of shock and fear? And straight away the guy says, yeah, when I was 4, I got out of bed to go for a wee in the night. I don't even remember what shocked me. I screamed the house down. I was petrified. And my parents had to come, they'd soothe me. It was awful. But it was a warm summer's night, and he'd taken his jammies off to go to bed because he was too warm. So the body didn't differentiate between being naked, getting a shock, being naked, say getting changed for the swimming baths because he had problems with that, walking around naked in front of his girlfriend, or even being in the bed naked. As soon as he got naked, the body went because he got this shock, and it had created a program, and it had triggered a program. And so they worked on that. Problem solved. So Terence always said if he'd gone down a different path, they might have sent him to a sex therapist, they might have put him on pills, they might have done all sorts, when really he'd just got a shock when he was 4. So it's working on the right memories. So we're going to dig a little bit with this tonight. The Activator Motivator, or the Motivator Activator, works on when you're feeling like you can't be motivated, when you're feeling stuck, or you're procrastinating, or you're not feeling very active, you're feeling lazy. So just like a message coming down the wire to a TV, we interrupt the message in the wire so that a different picture materializes on the screen, or perhaps the picture doesn't materialize at all. And this is how we can rework neural pathways, programs, behaviors, emotions within the brain. Years ago they thought that it was very difficult to change a neural pathway. Now they realize it's incredibly easy. And also, every time we think of something, we create a neural pathway of some sort, you know. And you've got to imagine if you had 5 hairnets on your head, all the neural pathways, they're flashing backwards and forwards all the time, up and down the body, up and down the body. And so there's a lot of activity going on all the time. What they've discovered, Benjamin Libet discovered when he was doing some tests, he wasn't even looking for this, he was looking for reflexes. He discovered that between the program being triggered and us being consciously aware of it, there's a gap, and now that's called the synaptic gap, or the Libet gap after him. So what we do is we interrupt that gap. So say it's emotional eating you suffer from, the program is triggered, and then a little time later you go, I think I fancy a Snickers. But between the trigger and the Snickers, there's a gap, and that's why people often say, I don't know why I'm doing this. I've got an irrational fear of spiders. I don't know why I'm doing this. You know, I can't stop OCD. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's a program, but we're going to interrupt the gap. So with this, the Activator Motivator, the Motivator Activator, we are going to interrupt the gap so that you then replace it with how you want to feel. We're going to give the brain the information that we want it to receive, rather than letting it filter through all the database that you already have. Yeah? So I'm going to speak to you like I'm speaking to one person, and so that way you'll all be able to follow along individually if you're watching it later, or if you're joining me live. All I ask is that you give it the utmost focus that you possibly can, and I will be looking for feedback as well, and I will be using my phone here because I've got all my notes on here. So just where you are now, I want you to think of the memory that you want to work with, whether it's a memory of laziness, whether it's a memory of procrastination, where you want to do something but you keep putting it off, whether it's a memory of feeling stuck. It can be from any time in your life. I just need it to be a nice, strong memory that you can visualize, that you can play like a video in your mind. Yeah? So just as we're doing it, you'll be able to redo this as well afterwards, but I want you to think about that memory. So wherever you are now, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to take a couple of deep breaths for me. Now, I want you to think about that memory, keeping your eyes closed. I want you to think about that memory of procrastination or laziness or feeling stuck and not being able to move forward. And I want you to play it like a video in your mind. I want you to make it as vivid as you possibly can, as if you're there right now. And I want you to see it, and I want you to feel it, feel how it feels. And then I want you to zoom right in to what you would consider to be the worst part of that memory for you. And then you're going to breathe in and you're going to freeze it completely freeze it, still as stone. Breathe out. Now, you can move around in your memory, but no one else or nothing else can. So I want you to walk around now in your 3D frozen memory, completely frozen in time. And I'm just going to stay quiet just for a few moments so you can feel the stillness of the freeze. So what I want you to do now is I am going to count to 10 3 times. And when you reach a point where you're ready to decide to create an imaginary response to this, I want you to remember the number that you decided that you're going to change this. So I'm going to count to 10 3 times. And when you hit that point, say it's 6, you hear 6 and you say, right, I'm ready to change this. I'm ready to create an imaginary response to this. You just, when I'm counting, you just keep going 6, 6, 6. Okay? So I'm going to begin counting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've cemented that decision for change, and now we're going to create an imaginary memory. This has got completely to do with you and your own mind. I cannot lead it at all, and you can be as crazy as you like. So how would you like to be? What would you be like if you were motivated? I want you to visualize that in your mind. You can make it as wild as you like. Would you be wearing your gym gear? Would you be going to the gym? Would you be going out for a run? Would you be exercising at home? Would you be happy? Would you be excited? I now want you to visualize what you look like motivated. I want you to create it in your own mind. What's nice about this is everybody will be completely different. Everyone's idea of motivation is different. So I want you to get a very clear picture of this. Make it as vivid as you possibly can. And I just want you to keep your eyes closed and just listen to me now. As you think of this, hundreds and thousands and millions of neural pathways are joining that feeling, that thought, to the absolute moment of now. Every one of those pathways bringing exactly what you want to happen to the moment of now, where you are at this very moment. It might seem to you that you can actually see in your mind's eye those thousands of pinpoints of light rushing through those neural pathways in all directions, all bringing those thoughts and feelings towards this absolute moment of now, so that it's so real in your mind that you can allow yourself to feel exactly the way you want to feel. The feeling can spread right out to your boundaries, which might seem like an aura to you, or maybe up to your skin. Perhaps you can even feel that new feeling in your body now, where you used to have quite a different feeling. Allow that to be all around you within this very moment, with every neural pathway carrying that every bit of good feeling that you've created. And just sit with that feeling. Now, we're going to do a little bit of a clever bit. We're going to create a memory of something that hasn't happened yet. It sounds a little unusual, I know, but your brain creates nerve paths every time you think of something. And we can use what you've already done just now to lock it into place. What I want you to do is I want you to imagine somewhere in the future, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, remembering a time that hasn't happened yet, where you've discovered that what we did today worked perfectly. I want you to see your motivated self in the future. In other words, you're imagining a time in a future when you're looking back at your created memory. Let me say that again. So you're imagining a time in the future where you're looking back at your created, motivated self. Okay, so this is your preferred state. Your motivated self is your preferred state. So now I'm going to do the BWRT loops to cement this into your brain. So now I want you to drop back to your frozen memory. Breathe in and breathe out. Straight on now to your preferred state, and knowing that hundreds and thousands of those neural pathways are rushing everything forward to the moment of now, where you feel everything spread out to your boundaries, more vivid than ever before, shooting your mind forward to that time in the future where you're remembering when you've discovered just how beautifully this whole thing has worked, and reveling in that motivated feeling. Drop back to that frozen memory. Breathe in and breathe out. Straight on now to your preferred state, and knowing that hundreds and thousands of those neural pathways are rushing everything forward to the moment of now, where you can feel everything spread out to your boundaries, more vivid than ever before, shooting your mind forward to that time in the future where you're remembering you've just discovered just how perfectly this whole thing has worked, and reveling in that motivated feeling. Drop back to that frozen memory. Breathe in and breathe out. Straight on now to your preferred state, as hundreds and thousands and millions of neural pathways are rushing everything forward to the moment of now, where you can feel everything spread out in your boundaries, more vivid than ever before, shooting your mind forward in time to that future where you've discovered just how well this whole thing has worked, and reveling in that motivated feeling. Drop back to your frozen memory. Breathe in and breathe out. Straight on now to your preferred state, as hundreds and thousands of millions of neural pathways are rushing everything forward to the moment of now, where you're feeling everything spread out in the boundaries, more vivid than ever before, shooting your mind forward to that time in the future where you're remembering when you've discovered just how beautifully this whole thing has worked, and reveling in that motivated feeling, feeling how it's just pushing through the boundaries, feeling how motivated you are, how relaxing, how easy, how comfortable, just enjoying the sensation of everything being perfect. Now, we're going to stay quiet for exactly 2 minutes, and I want you to be focused on that created, motivated self, and I want you to see it in your future. I want you to feel how that feels, and we're just going to breathe and sit with it for the next 2 minutes. In your own time, just open your eyes. Okay, so now we move away from the topic altogether. This is time to give the brain chance to calm down. So we're giving it just chance to release and calm down. So people often ask where I am, and I am in my woman cave. This is my cellar. This is where I live, doing my office work when I'm not jumping around. So this is where I live. The story that I've been telling everyone today is I've had a poorly Oscar the Husky this week. I know a few of you have got doggies and pussycats. I'm actually covered in hair from Freddie and SpongeBob, who I went to visit just before I did this, who Steph owns. So he's been a poorly puppy. Oscar has one very terrible thing that he does. He's a chewer and an eater. He has cost me a lot of money over the years and nearly died one time when he ate a barbecue skewer that we didn't know about. And he's had a couple of operations from crazy stuff he's eaten. But this last week he ate the shells of walnuts and almond nuts and any kind of nut you can think. We got some nuts and a nutcracker. Well, he ate the shells and he left the nuts behind. We just don't understand this. He didn't even eat the nuts, but he ate the shells. As Oscar has got older, he's become more vocal. So he doesn't really bark, but he does howl at the moon and things like that. But now, when he's got a poorly belly, he goes, oh, he does. He makes all the vocal noises, and I have to rub his belly while he's moaning at me. So I've had to re-record a few videos before today because he's been crying upstairs in the kitchen, and I had to go up and rub his belly before coming back down to redo the videos because all you can hear is him moaning. But I think he's on the mend now. But will he learn? No, he won't. He'll probably eat some other crazy thing next week. We're always trying to keep things out of his way, but he's a devil, you know. He knows how to undo handles. We've got child locks on things to stop him from doing crazy things. So I want you to go back to your frozen memory of feeling stuck or procrastination or laziness. And I want you to go back to the frozen memory, and I want you to give it a score out of 10 between 1 and 10. 10 is really terrible and 1 is not terrible at all. Give yourself a score. If you're not bothered now, if you're down at 1, 2 or 3, that is fine. This has worked beautifully. We've changed the neural pathway. You may feel tired. After you have a sleep, the numbers tend to drop further. If you are higher, if you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then you can go back through this recording after I've finished and do it again to change the neural pathways. We want you down at a 1, 2 or 3. That's where we want you. And you can cross-reference it. So you can think of another time, a completely different time where you felt lazy or felt stuck or felt like you were procrastinating, and see where the numbers are with that. And if they're low, we've hit all of them and we've changed a neural pathway. So I want you to give me feedback on this. This is a brand new BWRT protocol and you are the first ones to get it. So I want feedback as to how it's worked for you. I know many of you might watch this later. I might listen to it first and then go back and do it again. That's completely fine because we just want as much focus as you can give it, really. But BWRT works quickly, it's effective, and it's permanent. And if there's ladies that are watching and watch it later, for my ladies with emotional eating and other issues that have just simply gone, when we change a neural pathway, the emotion, the behaviour, the activity, it just disappears. It's no longer there anymore. It's so funny that they only rediscovered this in recent years, that it's so easy to change a neural pathway. So you imagine all the people living with depression and PTSD and things like that. I really love the counting, that decision for change, because a lot of the time when I'm speaking to people on the phone, I ask them, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Many people make friends with their misery. Many people make friends and it becomes part of their core identity. I don't want that. You may suffer from depression, but you are not depression. You may suffer from PTSD, but you are not PTSD. You may suffer from emotional eating, but you are not the food, the emotional eating. So we can change this, and we can change it easily. What I loved about this protocol is the counting. People will get to a number while you're counting, and whether it's 4, whether it's 7, and they'll go 7, 7, 7, and it's just cementing that I'm going to change, I'm going to change, I'm going to change. I love it. I love that. So we've already got the brain working for change before we've even done the protocol. So I really like this, and I think I'll be introducing it into some of my one-to-ones, because I really like that idea that you make that decision for change and then we do the protocol. I think it's going to, really give you some speedy results. So thank you for listening. Thank you for participating in the first ever BWRT Motivator Activator. And please give me as much feedback as you possibly can. If you need to run it a few times, that's fine. But once it's changed, it's changed. And do you know what? You'll all be fitness fanatics by the end of the week. Won't you? So I hope you're very well. Thank you for joining me, guys, those that have joined live, and those that watch it later. Again, please give me feedback, post below. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.